Hello, everybody. We're back for lesson 26, a day early, and we're talking about establishing personal integrity.
Nice. Happy
Very,
Tuesday.
very special little guest, Foxy Cleopatra. She's a whole lot of woman. Yeah, I think we all need to check ourselves sometimes, making sure we're living in our truth and our integrity. Yeah, there's a lot to this. It's a short but sweet little lesson here.
Learned that a lot through teaching is like you have to be consistent for anyone to kind of respect you, um, including students. Like if you're not consistent with students, they'll just be like, oh, they'll just like push against you, and then there won't be any respect for you. So I've learned that like 7 years of teaching. But even like with people in your life, if you're not consistent with them, push you this way or that way. So you have to like stand strong.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. And it's funny because you say like with teaching, but I think any form of leadership or where someone looks to you as like a guide or a mentor or, a person of,
Mm-hmm.
guidance. Like, I feel like it's like if you're not doing it and you're not staying consistent, like
Mm-hmm.
it almost, in my opinion, like in personal experience, it makes me lose interest and kind of shadow and mirror what they're doing. Apply this to like the different sides of our personality. I feel like we all have different sides to our personality, different aspects of our personality. We kind of went over last week with the shadow work, like
Mm-hmm.
how, we write from the ego, like things that are limiting or hurtful that we say about ourselves, but then we come in with that like stronger self. Maybe that's the way I've been looking at it. Meditation too, where it's like, I am the soul. And it's like, when you're authentic, I feel like you are coming from your highest self and your true self. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's that other chatter in our brains that kind of make us maybe act different because we feel like people are going to judge us if we're like maybe the person that we think people would like.
How do you feel?
I feel so much better. Like, because I realize sometimes through drinking, like certain things that are unresolved or irrational that are in my subconscious that I still need to work on. So
Mm-hmm.
I just, and plus, like I was saying earlier, like I'm trying to just meet my goal and shed these last couple of pounds. And like, it just, I feel like my well-being, like you said, like I could totally relate to you in that I feel like I'm different when I drink and like I have less control. I just feel like I'm more of the thoughts that I kind of rationalize properly when I'm sober. I can't when I'm drunk. I feed the wrong wolf. Like I'm usually going to the negative.
Yeah,
So I
interesting.
totally understand that.
I think that integrity has a lot to do with, staying true to yourself and things even like that. Like choosing not to use substances, and stuff like that. So that's why it was just like, wow, this one like hits really hard for me.
Of the chapter, I just thought it was like interesting how they kind of went straight into how sometimes, we often think people who, are talking about or cultivating personal integrity that are like that they think maybe that they're better than other people or that they're holier than now, and in particular like religious ideology or philosophy. And it says most of us have at least one horror story to tell of someone who has taken that kind of pleasure in pointing out our inconsistencies and faults. We don't usually like being asked to examine our integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And it just ties in right away, like how it will be linked to like judgment but that's not what it's about.
I want to make it clear that when we explore this topic, we're not talking about the moral dictates as much as we are about your own subjective standards and to what degree you are or are not able to live them.
It's about us, it's taking a look within, and that's part of this work we're doing to better ourselves, in relationships. It's to take a look within and assess where we're at.
Subjective standards, it's kind of like what you see for yourself through the inside. So almost like your inner being, what do you know is true for yourself? What are those standards for you whenever it says subjective standards? Because sometimes we can look outside and think, oh, we need to be like this, because this is what's going on outside. And that would be objective. You could be making standards objectively, but subjectively is completely your inner being.
It's just the state of being whole.
Mm-hmm.
I've always thought of integrity just being true to oneself, but I
Right.
love how they put like how that they in quotations say the state of being entirely whole. Not so concerned with true, absolute truths. For example, is murder wrong? It's more about relative truths. Like if I'm a loving person, then I'm responsible for behaving in a loving way.
I was kind of confused about that part. Like, it is with relative truths. I don't know if something's relative.
Again, I don't think it's like it's about like, oh, this is wrong or right or this person's bad or good. It's more like, again, like looking in within and saying like, if I'm suggesting that I'm a loving person or I want to be a loving person, integrity would be to line up with action to that ideal.
Right.
Like I'm a loving person, so I'm going to act that way. I'm not going to say I'm a loving person and then like, I don't know, like hate, like be on the road. Well, this is a bad example because a lot of people have road rage, but like be on the road and be cursing out like every stranger for no reason. There's consistency, like we said in the beginning.
Yeah, definitely.
Like one day not be like, oh, I'm tired. Like do whatever you want, write on the walls.
Yeah.
No, like you're not allowed to write on the wall. Like it's just not good for the wall. It's not good for the way the room looks. It's not. It's just not. It doesn't make me feel good. Look at it. Does it make you feel good? That kind
Yeah.
of thing. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Client that she had named Manuel, who was saying for 2 years that he was going to write a book, and he feels that writing this book is going to connect him to and give him, I think, more of like the confidence to be able to go and speak on stage and teach. And it's like what we've talked about. Be happy when.
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of like his goal. He's talking about for 2 years to write this.
He didn't hear from Manuel for an entire year. And it wasn't long before he discovered that although Manuel had done some traveling, that he hadn't begun to write his book. And he thinks about the book every day and every night, and yet he fills his days with busy work and doesn't seem to have the time to sit down and begin it. And I point out to Manuel that he is out of integrity with himself. I remind him of the importance of writing this book in his life. And then they came up with a plan that Manuel has set aside 2 hours every day to work on his book. And then 3 days later, he called to tell him that the anxiety and depression lifted the moment he sat down to write the book. You are not taking actions that you feel you need to be taking, or when you are taking the actions that are in conflict with your values, there's often a tremendous drain on your sense of wholeness and well being.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's just how many times have you like wanted to do something, but I think sometimes our fear of like failing would stop us. Like, of course, he wants to write a book. He feels this is his life purpose. Like, this is going to
Mm-hmm.
excel his life's mission, right? Forget all the
Mm-hmm.
money and the whatever else there could come from it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is what he feels his true purpose is, but he keeps making excuses or not being able to dedicate those 2 hours a day. Once he does, like his whole life changes.
Mm-hmm.
Taking that first little step, that little momentum step. Integrity is doing the right thing even when you know no one will ever find out. You're going to take out your journal and write the following questions. And I did this. What agreements have I made that I might not have kept? This question is, what do I need to communicate to someone I've been putting off? And who do I need to forgive? Who do I need to apologize to? I need to thank. And that was beautiful just to think about like who would I thank right now? Lies have I been telling myself? What excuses have I been making? So after you fill that all those questions out, go back and review your list, like circle the things that you really want to start taking action on improving. Because this is all about, some of these things that came up, I didn't even think of consciously till I wrote it out.
Okay.
It's really interesting. And then I wrote, things that I could do to better the things that I circled that were most important to me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Also,
Remember to take personal inventory on a regular basis to keep yourself light and clear. The baggage in life is light. There's more room for love. So it's almost like us cleaning out our closets and making room. It's like making emotional room for more.